Welcome back, everybody, to Sacramento Kings franchise here on MyNBA and NBA 2K26. We left off last episode thinking about trading Zach Lavine. And we start this episode still thinking about trading Zach Lavine. This is a trade we have right now. Zach Lavine, Doug McDermott, Santi Aldama from the Grizzlies, KCP from the Grizzlies, and 2 unprotected first-round picks, one in 2028 that is owned by Memphis, and one in 2030 that is owned by Orlando. I want to acquire first-round picks if I can, when I can, because my thought process at this point is, I don't know how the lottery is going to go, but if we don't win the first overall pick, or at least the second overall pick, I want to have the ability to trade up. I want to have the ability to have ammunition to trade up. Simple as that. I want to have a bunch of picks and just have that ability. To me, that is very important, to just be able to go out there and acquire who I really want in the draft. And that's one of the top 2 players. Now, we go to make this trade. They say no. Again, we come back to a situation where now they're asking for a first back. I'm not doing that. I am not trading any of our firsts, even the one that we got from Detroit. Not what I'm looking to do here. So we rework this trade a little bit here. We remove that. I take Brandon Clark out of the deal. I don't really want Brandon Clark because we would have just way too much of a log jam at power forward at that point. We already have enough power forwards with us acquiring Santi, and so not going to do that. I want an additional 1. That's what I really truthfully want. And we try to make this trade again, and then it comes back to us again, a second round unprotected, and Dario Saric gets added. And then I look at this and I say, this looks mostly fair, honestly. I think maybe adding that second first was maybe a little bit too extreme, but we do make that trade. And we trade him to the Grizzlies. Tell Zach Lavine, thanks for your time here, but we're gonna get you out of here. You're gonna go to Memphis and go on from there, because you know what, he is 30 and we need to get some youth on this team, and he's not an elevator talent wise. But we finished the season completely horrible. We only won 18 games, and Jokic wins MVP. We'll go through all the awards here. Jokic is your MVP at 28, 11, and 10 on 57% field goal percentage. I mean, that is a absolutely insane season. If his free throws were a little bit better, he could have been in that 50, 40, 90 club, which, Jokic, absolutely amazing player. Cooper Flagg is your Rookie of the Year. I don't think anyone expects anything different, honestly. I'd be surprised if someone else won Rookie of the Year, so it'll probably be Cooper Flagg. He wins Rookie of the Year. Reed Shepherd is your 6th Man of the Year. Clutch Player of the Year, Steph Curry. And, so made a lot of changes. Here are your first team players, pretty much who you would expect to be here. Your second team players, I had no idea Denny Advia was like balling so much in Portland in real life. I guess I just don't keep up with the Trailblazers that much. I don't think anyone does. But yeah, so we go through here, all NBA third team, and you see the rest of these guys here, your all defensive team right here. It's all just centers and forwards. That's kind of who is on all of these teams nowadays. All NBA rookie teams. We have no one on here. We hope to change that going into, coming out of next season. I think we hope to change that. We hope to go out there and acquire a talent that can get there. So, playoffs here, we're not in them, which I don't think is that much of a surprise, but we're not in the playoffs. For anyone who's wondering, did we make the playoffs? No, we did not. But we come through here, and it looks like the Knicks are just kind of running through the entire Eastern Conference, just running roughshod through it. They struggled with the Hawks, and that is post Knicks win the champ. That is post Trae Young trade. So there's just something about the Hawks and the sim engine that there's something with that Hawks play. I don't know if that's like a playbook thing. I'm not sure if it's like Madden where like playbooks matter, but I don't know. The Hawks seem to do very well. So after that, it is the draft lottery, and I changed the lottery odds. This isn't me I didn't know that we had the worst record in the league. I changed it back to what it used to be, where like the worst team would have 25%, Second worst team would have like 19%, and so on and so forth, which is what it should be. The worst team should always have the best odds to get the first pick. Because it's still only a 25% chance. It's the best odds, but it's not, a sure thing. If it was up to me, I would actually abolish the lottery and just give the pick to the worst team, simply because I think that's what should be done. Yeah, that's just what that's truly what I think. I think that's how it should be in the NBA, but they do it in this, I think, overly convoluted way. Lottery, for the most part, it's holding firm with where it should be. My big issue with the lottery, and I'll say this, is I feel like it doesn't get the worst players, or it doesn't get the best, as the Rockets jump, it doesn't get the best players to the worst teams. I think that's a real issue with the lottery. I think that's where it comes across as a failure. So here's pick number 4, and that's going to be us. We fall to 4. Because that's how the lottery goes. Even with a 25% chance, you can still drop, and then you end up with a situation where, again, the worst team in the league does not get the pick. Granted, this time there is multiple Eastern Conference teams who came out 1-2, so that is a little different from what it normally is, where it's like, it feels like a Western Conference team is always jumping in the lottery up to 1. So we are going to get into a situation now where we have the 4th pick. And I mentioned earlier in this video, the reason I wanted those additional firsts, the reason I wanted all of those picks, is I wanted to have the firepower to trade up. I wanted to have the firepower to go to a team that maybe is looking at some other talent, right? This is completely realistic, right? Maybe for the top picks in this draft, maybe the Hornets are like, hey, you know what? We don't necessarily want that player. If we can get 4 additional first-round picks, maybe the Hornets would do that, right? And they do it, right? I think, so I say, hey, you know what? Our 3 additional first-round picks will move back a few spots. We'll still maybe get the player that we actually want here. And you know what? They're willing to make that trade for us, and that's why I did it. So who does this come down to for us? Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsta. Those are the 2 players that I am really looking at here. Cam Boozer, not as much. I know he's a very good player, but I feel like, again, Darren Peterson, he is probably the best 2-card prospect. As I've kind of tried learning a little bit more about this upcoming draft, he is probably the best 2-guard prospect in the past 10-15 years. He is an amazing athlete, good shooter, good ball handler, quick first step, lightning fast, can get to the rim, can shoot, can do everything you want a modern 2-guard to do. This is a guy who's probably going to have the ball in his hands a ton, and that is a player that is just what you want, I think, to build your franchise around. I think it's exactly what you want. And to me, this is very easy, I think. We traded all those picks. We're going to go get the best player in the draft. And that's going to be Darren Peterson, I think. Now, there are some other players here in this draft that I should 100%, again, they would have likely fallen to us at 4. They would have been there. And there's a chance Darren Peterson could have fallen to us at 4. I don't know if the Hornets would have taken him at 1. They already have a lot of guards. There's a chance they maybe would have taken a Cam Boozer type of player. And he looks like a very good player as well. Looks like a fine player or great player. Just not what I want right now. AJ DeBonsta, I hope I'm saying his name right. Again, looks great, honestly. This is kind of, truthfully, it's between Peterson and DeBonsta. These are the 2 players that I'm, really was considering both of these players. These are just 2 guys that I'm, again, very much considering, very much that I would like to have, but, it really is between Peterson and DeBonsta. Mikel Brown Jr. would be interesting, but we just did trade for Jaden Ivey. Caleb Wilson would be another player I would consider if we fell back a little bit further. So it's just one of those things where I have an idea of who I really want, and I just wanted to go up and be able to basically get them. All right, I want to just go and get that player and have the ability to get him and not have to worry and say, hey, is he going to fall? No. We're going to go out here and we are going to draft the best player in the draft, hands down, you know, not by far away, but by a good enough margin where I think there's a difference between him and Ibonsta, who I considered, but I think it was very easy just to go with Darren Peterson. We're a team that needs, I think, a player like this that can be your face of the franchise and can potentially in a few years be challenging for that best player in the world status. And I think Peterson, I didn't even mention this, is an amazing defensive prospect as well, right? The athleticism he has allows him to be a great offensive prospect. It also allows him to be a great defensive prospect as well. So I think when you have that, you just have to take that guy at number 1 in the draft. Simple as that. Was a really easy choice for me, I think, once I started considering that prospect, that line of thinking where he's just that level of prospect. You have to take that player. So 6'5", 195 pounds, out of Kansas, Darren Peterson is the first pick of the draft. We're gonna take a look around here and see what the rest of these teams do afterwards, because maybe that says I shouldn't have done that. But Cam Boozer goes number 2. The Jazz now on the clock. They go with Tandi Yusufo. I believe that's how you pronounce that. And the Hornets go Caleb Wilson here. So there's a chance that we maybe could have gotten Peterson at 4 or Ibonsta, because he goes at, 6. So we would have had a shot at maybe both of those guys. But again, I don't know that for sure, right? It's just maybe us making that trade kind of changed how all these teams thought. But see the rest of this draft playing out. Nate Ament goes there, and then LeBaron Fillon. I hope that's how you pronounce that. Again, I'm not super familiar with all these guys. I don't watch a lot of college basketball. I've only started kind of really digging into this upcoming draft class. But the Bucks then also make another trade here, or their first trade, and they trade Miles Turner and Taurean Prince, and they get this pick here from the Thunder. So I guess the Thunder we need some more size. And they get Mikal Brown Jr. So the Bucks have a great draft, actually. Somehow they end up with, some really good guard play right there. And we come back, second round. And there's some guys here that I'm looking at here. And Yaxo Lenenberg. Hope that's how you pronounce that. Sorry, I keep saying I hope that's how you pronounce that. It's just some of these names are a little tough. But we go with this guy right here, and this guy actually is a fringe. I've seen this name pop up a little bit in, a couple lottery drafts, actually, mock drafts. He's kind of been almost like a lottery pick in some mock drafts. 7'4", can rebound, can shoot a little bit. I'm interested. 6'10", 235 pounds. That's a lot of size. That's a big guy. And hopefully that can help with rebounding and our interior. So I like the idea of that pick. We come back here now, second round. We get into it a little bit later. And we have another pick here. We're seeing these guys drafted and just looking around and, some players. I'm not exactly sure who all of these guys are, but whoever did this draft class did a very good job, I have to say, on just I think facial stuff and things like that. And we come back here, and at this point, Ademara is a guy who I've also seen mocked a little bit into the first round. He's here in the second round, and 7'3" from Michigan. We're taking just a lot of big guys here, and to me, why not take swings on guys who are big, tall, and could potentially, I don't know. I feel like one of those guys should project to be a very good player, but I know Yaxo is a little bit older. I believe he is 23. Ademara is 20, so younger, but it is what it is. I believe the ages might be wrong on this. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look into this a little bit later, but Yaxo is 23 in real life. So a little bit older, but I do think, maybe we can make him a player. Mara, I believe, is actually 20. It has him listed at 22 right there, unless there's a weird thing about his age. But I'm pretty sure Mara is actually 20, so I will have to go in and change that. So we come to free agency. We don't have a lot of money. We are going to offer Jaden Ivey a contract here, and it is relatively cheap. It's only like $12 million a year for a starting point guard with some potential, and we're going to get him to $12 million a year, try to offer him that, and he does accept that. He is willing to take that deal. In terms of free agency, what do we want to do? Well, we don't have a lot of options, and I think this roster, we've mostly built it, I think, at least for the next year. What we are going to do, though, is KCP, there's not really a space for him to play for us, if I'm being entirely honest. We have a lot of guys ahead of him that I would rather get on the court. So that's just not going to happen for KCP. So we are going to look to make a trade right there and see what we can get for him on the open market. I'm not sure what we can get for him, but I think we can get something. And again, you know me, if I can acquire some first round picks, I'm willing to do that because we have traded a lot of them. So we're trading away first round picks and we're constantly acquiring first round picks. And we could get the best pick here. I think that's what that means with the Hawks and Cavs. So we'll take that right there. We're looking around at some players who we want to bring in to be kind of like a rotational point guard for us. And here's Ben Simmons. Now, in real life, I believe Ben Simmons is likely going to retire from basketball and just take up fishing. It seems like the whole thing has kind of like just fried his thoughts on basketball. I'm not sure if that's like a mental thing or what. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's finding something that makes him happy in life, and maybe that is fishing, I believe. As much people joke about that, I hope he is. That sounds like a really relaxing thing for him, and maybe that's just what he needs after being in the NBA world for as long as he was, and you know, a guy who's had the spotlight on him since he was a teenager, and he's found something that, you know, is relaxing for him and maybe helps with his life. So I hope in real life, I truly hope that works out for Ben Simmons. In this though, we're going to bring him in as to be our backup point guard. And I think that gives us kind of a unique advantage at times. You know, I believe him setting screens for Peterson, I believe we can do some lineups like that. I think that could be really advantageous for us, actually, if he's, you know, come in and play that role. So we have some size there. Guy who's 6'10", and we'll regularly put him on guys who are probably 6'3", 6'2". So, and Ben Simmons, despite all of the issues with him offensively, has always been a really good defender. So I think we'll have a real advantage right there. But Peterson, I'm excited for this starting lineup. I think I like it. Ivy, Peterson, Porter Jr. And then I believe at our 4, we could go with a couple different options. But Santi Aldama is probably going to be our starting 4. We could go with Keegan Murray, but I think Murray might come off the bench and kind of be our backup 3. And then I think we have a pretty good situation here at center with Isaiah Stewart, Maxime Renaud, and Ade Mara. So I'm liking it, honestly. I'm liking what we have set up here. We go in here and we play a little bit of a scrimmage, kind of see what we got with Peterson, and he's able just to fly right by Jaden Ivey. And so I'm liking that, honestly. I'm liking that pick. I decided to come in here, play a little bit of a scrimmage, kind of see what we had going with both of these, or at least both with Peterson, really. And I think defensively, we could have a pretty decent defensive squad. And so I'm kind of excited to see that. And Peterson, he just moves so fast, so quick in the open floor that I am super excited to see what we can get going with him and just how this team does. I really do think this is a team that, at the very least, I think we can make a run at getting this Kings team back to the playoffs. That is the goal, right? Is to get back to the playoffs, get this team back playing late in the season, getting them to play into April, into May, eventual goal being playing into June, right? That's what we want to do. And we get up here, Briggs is going to play to 21 here. Peterson going to drive, kick it back to Isaiah Stewart, corner 3. He has the ability to hit that, and he does hit it there. 21 points right there. So that's going to be our scrimmage. I liked what I saw in that scrimmage. That might not be the actual starting lineup that you just saw right there, but I like what we have on this roster. I think we've done a very good job in a short amount of time kind of putting this team together. and I think making it a team that can compete, if you will. But first test is going to be the Washington Wizards again, and this is a little bit interesting because they have James Harden. Harden decides to sign with the Wizards. Not sure about that. I don't know if he would do that, but he decided to do it. Decided to go to Washington and decided to maybe end his career there. So a little bit odd. I don't know. Maybe they got good strip clubs and wing joints in Washington. I don't know. I've only been there on a class trip back when I was in middle school, which was many, many years ago. Might be dating myself there. This is when Obama was president the first time. So, yes. But yeah, that's what we're taking on, the Wizards opening night. Darren Peterson NBA debut versus James Harden and the Wizards. So come back for that one. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you guys think of the moves we made, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.